So what's it like to work with a consultant for car washing and how much does it cost? So first of all, there's a lot of flavors of consultants out there. There are people that quarterback the whole project, which can cost a whole lot of money. There's people that can help with all type of organizational tools. Then there's people like me. What I specialize in is coming to a site that's already existing and giving you tips and pointers of all kinds of things of what you can do to improve your business. That's kind of what I'm really good at and what I specialize in. Quick note, if you're in the in-bay game, then you definitely want to talk to me before you spend a cent for site location. That's another thing I do very well, is help with site location and potentially buying an in-bay automatic or building an in-bay automatic. When it comes to tunnels, if they're already existing, I'm one of your guys that can help your business grow, but I'm not interested at this time for site location for tunnels. I know that's kind of niche in both areas, but that's just what I'm good at, so deal with it. Okay, so we're going to focus mostly on tunnels here. What does it look like for a tunnel? And I've talked to a couple of different consultants, and I love the other consultants I talk to because they have strengths where I don't really have strengths, and I have some strengths where they don't have strengths. So I don't feel really competitive with some of the other consultants out there, and part of it is because I just don't do as much consulting due to time because I have a lot of other projects going on. That being said, here's what it is to work with someone like myself. Again, if you already have a tunnel, you've been operating for a year, a couple years, or several years, and you want to know what you're missing out on. You know your monthly's going to be stronger. You're not sure how to adapt, but you know you need to adapt because competition's coming to town. They're starting to take some of your customers, or they're coming to town soon. First piece of advice, call me way before that. Call me early. Because if we can establish you to 4,000, 7,000 members before someone even thinks to come into town, guess what? They don't have a chance of hurting you. But the reality is that's not usually the case. I get called when it's panic time. Here's how it is to work with me. And people often ask me when I'm doing some Zoom calls, they want to see a procedure. Now, again, every consultant's different. I specialize in what I am best at. And I am best at creatively and openly looking at your whole business, from seeing if you could see you from a quarter miles away with your signage to the feelings of the managers and the people who are selling monthlies and the person loading and everything in between. Again, this is subconscious sales, the most powerful part of your brain, of every human's brain. How they work is subconscious. So I focus a lot on how people feel coming on your location. Now, don't think that's nothing to do with procedures, because it has a lot to do with procedures as well. But the point I'm trying to get across is I come in completely open-minded. I do not have an agenda. My agenda is to look at your business from a typical person in your town. What does it feel like? And how do you make your business way more attractive to become a part of your wash as a customer and stay as a part of your wash as a customer? And then turn your customers into advocates, because advocates sell better than your salespeople will ever sell, getting you an online presence and that kind of thing. And doing this for like 7 years now, every single wash is completely different. That's why I don't come in with any set agenda. How long am I usually there? I would say in most cases 2 to 3 days. Sometimes I can, if I'm in the area, I can swing by for a day or half a day. I've done that before. I have relationships with some car washes and I'll be in the area. It's like, hey, do you want me to swing by? They'll, yeah, hang out with my sales guys, give me some observations. So I'll spend half a day there and help them out a bit. That's actually been pretty useful too, because I can see some signage and, again, a fresh point of view. That is one thing about consultants. Here's a very few important things people need to know about consultants. And I can't speak for all of them, but this is really important. So one, no matter what kind of business you have, any business in the world, you're so in your business, you don't see it from an outside perspective anymore. This is why I tell people that whether you're doing manufacturing or a retail business, the newest customers and the newest employees are going to give you the best feedback. So listen keenly. Listen with a great degree of listening to your newest employees and your newest customers. They see your blind spots because they don't know any better. Because all of the seasoned employees and customers and yourself have made excuses, little internal subconscious excuses for your faults. That's important. Rewind that back and listen to that again. And this is one thing an outside perspective can give you. Just fresh set eyes, and we're going to tell you the truth. One example of that, a video I just put out, I keep using Larry as an example. Larry, you put out so much good content. I tell you what, I'm really grateful for hanging out with you. His signage wasn't very good at one part, just one part of the car wash. Again, he's done so many things right, but just one part of the car wash, the signage at the road wasn't very good. It's just invisible when you drive by to me. He called me, cussing me out later because now he has to change the signage. It was pretty funny. It was great. Larry's great. But that's a good point of view. Everybody in his town and himself and his employees, oh, the signage is fine. It wasn't fine. You can't see a car wash. When you're driving by at 40 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour, all your energy, your subconscious energy is keeping you from getting in a wreck. So there's certain keys and little tricks to get people to notice you. Part of that is being busy. That's why volume matters quite a bit more than people think. And of course, signage and little tricks for signage. The point of that diatribe is a consultant could give you a fresh set of eyes. And here's the other thing. Again, I can't speak for all consultants. There's probably some bad ones out there too. I just know a couple and they seem really good to me. But folks, you talk to your buddies, you run a car wash. Maybe you have 7 locations or 3 locations. Maybe you've been doing this 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And you have other friends in the business, right? And you go on the message boards. Okay. Well, at least from my perspective, good consultants, and from what I know, and just speaking for myself, we have real numbers from people. And people tell us their most intimate numbers, their most intimate issues all the time that they're not going to talk about in the message boards. And you may be greatly involved in 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 7 car washes. To talk to your buddy that own 3 or 4 or 5 car washes. And some of us have talked to hundreds and hundreds of car washes and know numbers from hundreds of car washes, at least the basic numbers of hundreds of car washes. So when we're looking at things from that perspective, listen, I know you've been successful and so successful at your local niche. And it's not better or worse than anybody else. I'm not trying to say we're anybody better, but just the position of being a consultant, you have a different view, a higher view from above because you've talked to hundreds and hundreds of car washes. And we don't know everything. Please, I do not know everything, not even close to everything, but we see a lot. So that experience of having a lot of data helps us give you some information of what you might be able to improve on. And talking about that, and this is going to be the biggest trigger of this video, is the term in my market. Let me tell you, folks, there's no more frustrating term, at least for me, than my market. I understand there are some subtle nuances in your market, but you make your market. I've talked about this before. You've made your bed, and you can change your bed. You can change your market, and you can make things more efficient. Your market isn't as special as you think it is. Sorry, a lot of you clicked off, put a thumbs down in. The truth is, there are best practices that work across the board 90% of the time. And you may have some adjustments you need to make in your market, but for the most part, not all, for the most part, your market isn't special. Sorry, you're special. You really are. I'm not just trying to say that to get to you. But your market isn't that special. Most likely. Again, there are a few, as all things, there are a few caveats. So we touched on a little bit, sometimes I can do a quick drive-by. For the most part, if someone's paying me to seriously consult, I want to be there 2 to 3 days. Why 2 to 3 days? Because if you're a serious car wash and you're taking your car wash serious, or your organization, sometimes I'll be 4 or 5 days. Depends on how many locations. Some people want me to see every single one of their locations, and I might be able to knock out 1 or 2 or even 3 a day. Again, each situation is different, but let's just say you have 1 car wash and you want me 2 or 3 days. Here's why I like to be there a couple days. Because I need some time to build rapport with your employees. You, the owner, are the leader of your organization. And just like I'm trying to look at everything from a customer's perspective, that is really what I'm best at. Looking at everything from a customer's perspective, just as important as looking at everything from an employee perspective. So you're the top of the pyramid. I'm working on what the customers feel and think, what the employees feel and think. And I need time to build trust with them. And I need you to help that trust and build that trust and give them the trust to trust me. And I'm not going to reveal their deepest and darkest secrets, but the best thing about your wash is you're all the problems and you're all the solutions at the top. Tough words, I know. It's same with my business, right? There's things I'm great at. There's things I hate in my business I can't do at all. That's why I have people help me with stuff, or I hire someone to help me with stuff, okay? But you're all the problems and you're all the solutions. At least you're all the problems and all the solutions you can control. Obviously, there's a lot we can't control. Can't control laws and society, that kind of thing. For me to help you as the owner, I need to know what people are feeling and thinking genuinely on the ground. So I need to build that trust, take your manager to coffee, have breakfast with them, have lunch with them or her, and get to know them a bit. And this has happened time and time again, is be there day 1, and then day 2, we'll go to lunch or something, and they're just starting to let it all out. And their frustrations aren't everything. That's their perspective. And I know you as the owner have some perspectives as well. Of course you do. And you're where the buck stops. But again, I'm trying to help you, the owner, mold your wash into a much more profitable and efficient business. And to do that, the people working in your business every single day, I need to know what's going on. So I do my best just to hang out with people. And a lot of people call me and want me to do sales training. And I can do sales training because that's people like, you specialize in sales training. Yes. My training course specializes in sales training. If you want to do yourself a huge favor and save yourself thousands of dollars, take the sales course first. It's $20 a person. So if you have 5 people, okay, $100 a month, right? And you can cancel if you want. Have them take the sales course and then have me go on site if you really want me on site. First of all, it's going to help tremendously. There's a lot more than just sales in there. I talk about the psychology of it, and this is why people keep pitching the proper sales training, because I tell them why they're doing it and why you're doing it. Or join my owner's club. It's like $250 a month that's shooting to this. It's a very expensive message board. Only people that really want to do something special. You'll learn a lot there. Why am I telling you that? The training part is easy because I have a course for that already. It's online. Take the course. And a lot of people want me up there to help with the sales training, but the course is better than me being there. Now, if you take the course first, then I can enhance that by being there, because I can answer and field a lot of questions and comments your employees may have regarding the sales training. Oh, why do we do this? Why do we do that? I can handle all that. But have me try to teach something I spent years on developing the sales training course within a day or two, my course is better than me being there, okay? Why you really want me there is to see all the underlying issues with your business. This signage doesn't look good. These employees aren't working right. I know you've done this 30 years this way and your customers are used to it, but you got to change it. It's inefficient. You're going too slow. Customers need it faster. That guy frowns every day. I know he's been here 30 years. We got to do something about this, because that's turning women off, because he looks angry. He looks mean. I'm just giving you the negatives. There's a lot of positives too. Keep that person. Don't let them go. Pay them whatever you got to pay them. I'm not here to put a Band-Aid on a wound. I'm here to look at your genetics and how to make your whole body much healthier. I'm here to help you lose 50 pounds, become an elite athlete, if your business was a body, to the best of my ability. And I just need time to do that. I'm just going to kick back, get a lounge chair. I'm joking, but still, I'm going to kick back and just watch. That's pretty much what I do. Just hang out, watch, hang out and watch. It's not real comfortable for me because I'm a doer. Trust me. I'm a guy who wants to be out there loading cars, washing cars, selling monthlies, okay? But I need to kick back and watch and just have a lot of conversations and get to know your people and get to know you. Before I come to your facility, I usually have you and all your staff take a Myers-Briggs test, because I want to know how they work, and I could teach a little bit about that on site. We could have a few meetings, and I'll teach a little bit about Myers-Briggs, if necessary, if I even want to, if it makes sense. But that's something important to me, because that's like, I worked on cars all my life, actually. And if I'm going to go work on a Toyota or BMW, their methodologies are completely different, and I need to know what I'm working on. And what the Myers-Briggs does is help me know what I'm working on. And a car's a car, a human's a human, but we all have our strengths or weaknesses, and I try to work within those specifically to how you and your employees are wired. And again, that's something I could teach on. Not a big deal, not as hard as you think, just something you have to do a little homework with. So I know I'm not being very descriptive, because the reason for that is every wash is different. So I'm there, I observe a lot of conversations. I do help with some sales training. It's not that I don't do that. I help with some methodologies of that, but it really is best to take the sales training first. It's easy, it's extremely inexpensive, and it's so detailed. So do that first. I go on site, I hang out for a couple days, 2-3 days. It's usually like 2.5 really, because of travel. And then when I leave, I give you an outline. That could be 2 pages. It could be 20 pages. It's usually over 20, 30 pages, which sounds ridiculous. I'm working on that. That's a Jason problem. I try to distill it down to 12 or 15 or maybe, less than that pages now. Again, every location is different. Again, this is just what I do, is I try to outline the issues I see, what can be solved quickly. Everything's going to cost a little bit of money, whether it be signage, change this around, change that around, the reasons why. And then I also give a lot of resources, okay? Because again, the owner and the leadership at the top are the ones that need the most work. That's just how reality works. So here's some books you're going to read about this. Here's some books you're going to read about that. Here's some book studies you should have with your company. It's going to take a lot of effort. And I'll do a separate video about this, but the number one issue I see with car washes is when it comes to leadership, accountability, and focus. Those are the 2 biggest issues I see with wash owners, because wash owners can be super entrepreneurial and they're doing a lot of different things and they can't focus on their business. There's a couple times where I've showed up at a business, I follow up a couple days later, a couple weeks later, a couple months later, and yeah, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. I have these other things come up. It's unfortunate, and I get it. It's just reality. It really disappoints me, not in a I'm disappointed in you kind of way. I'm just sad, because nothing makes me sadder than people paying me a good chunk of money and then not following through, because that's not how I'm wired. If you don't know yet, I am wired for helping to make other people successful. That's what gives me extreme energy when I take you from washing however many cars to however many more cars, from this many monthlies to that many monthlies. I just get jacked by helping you be successful. And when I leave, especially when you pay me a bunch of money, and things are kind of stagnant, maybe you have a little bump and then it goes down again and it never really took off, I get super sad. I know that's not really your problem, but it is a Jason problem. And people will tell me, well, you've done your part, but again, that's just not how I'm wired. I really, really want you to succeed. I want you to be wildly successful. And when you're not following up, man, I just get super down and bums me out big time. I guess talking this through, I didn't really think about this. Prepared. Not only is it going to be a big expense, we'll talk about expenses in a little bit in a few seconds here, but before you hire me or someone else, budget 50, 100 grand. It might not be that. It might be barely anything, but budget your time. You know what? We're going to budget 5 hours, 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week of labor after this consultant comes in just to focus on whatever they tell us for a year. Sounds insane, but here's some math for you. It's another important part of the video. I talked about another really important part. Here's another very important part. Do the math. Okay, let's do some math together. We're talking monthly plans. Let's say the average monthly plan is $25. Okay, $25. The average person stays on eight months. I think that's really low. I think if you're taking my training course, they're going to stay on a lot longer. But let's just say we go with the average. That was the average a couple of years ago. I don't know what it is now. So $200. So every monthly you sell is $200 in your pocket. Now that's not including specials. I hate specials. If you take my stuff and you listen to me, you're going to never need to do a special again for the rest of your life. I think specials are a scam in every way, and all they are is hurting your business for the most part. A video for another time. So every monthly sale is worth $200. Okay. And I leave, and 2 weeks later, you get an extra 100 monthly sales. So 200 times 100, I know I shouldn't need a calculator for that. I don't need a calculator, is 20 grand. Okay. So we'll talk about my charges in a minute, or other consultants' charges. So you get an extra 100 sales, which you could probably do a couple of weeks. And that's an extra $20,000 in your pocket. You'll probably get an extra, 1,000 within the year, or 6 months, 8 months. And you're talking, $200,000 there, right? So yeah, consultants are expensive, but it adds up real quick, especially when you're talking monthlies, okay? Just do the math. 100 monthlies is 20 grand. Great business model, right? Folks, get those monthlies. Do whatever you got to do. Get those monthlies. Does that $100 a month at your location seem worth it now to take sales training, the best sales training out there? And again, there's other sales tactics and training out there. You might want to double up. There's some that do accountability and stuff like that. And I could talk about that sometime. But my sales training is the simplest, and it goes down the subconscious. And in my opinion, it's the most effective. And I don't talk about me that much, but the sales training is good, folks. So because it's realistic. It helps your employees realistically and honestly, openly, in a no pressure manner, talk to your customers and get sales. That's it. That's all there is to it. Simple. Next, how much does it cost? Typically $7,000 to $12,000, $14,000 a visit. Most consultants are probably in the $1,500 to $2,500 a day range, plus expenses and travel and all that good stuff. So how does that add up? Well, let's just say we're going on a low end, $1,500 a day. There are 3 days. That's $4,500. I will typically charge an extra day that I'm not there, which may sound crazy, but it's just reality, because I am working on stuff behind the scenes before I come to your location, just getting all the travel logistics and everything else together and following up afterwards. So maybe others don't do that. I often do that. So 2 to 3 days is really, you're going to charge 3 to 4 days. And we're going to do a couple Zoom calls that I'm not going to charge you for. It just all adds up. So I charge you that ahead of time. Then travel, whatever that's going to be. Most consultants are about half their daily rate for travel, not all, but let's say $750 a day for travel. And even if you look at it as being a half day of travel, it's really a full day of travel, because just organizing, getting all their stuff together, it's just the reality. So hotels, depends where you're at. A lot of places in the country, it's not too expensive. All I care about is it's very clean and very safe. I don't need anything super luxurious, but clean and safe is super important. And then travel, also nothing extravagant, but sometimes we have to upgrade when we travel, because if there's a short layover, I need to be at the front of the plane to get to the next plane. So yeah, that might cost an extra $100 here, $100 there, just because that's how airports work. So at the end of the day, after shooting this video, probably 7 to 12 grand is typically what's going to cost to have someone out there. Others, I think they're in the same range. At least some of the other guys I've talked to are probably in the same range. Again, at the time of shooting this video. And yeah, all else. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The biggest thing I could say is prepare to follow up and do. Just don't, in my experience, that's been the biggest frustration. Those who follow up and do get the most out of it. Those who just want someone there, they leave, they follow up, nice outline, you go through it in a Zoom call, you and your leadership, and then they'll follow through. Super bummer, folks. And again, take the sales training before. If you're looking at me, take the sales training before I come out for months. You'll probably be pretty surprised. And there you go. That's what it's like to work with a consultant, at least with me and probably a few others. Again, some of the others do things a little bit different structurally. But yeah, if you're looking for someone to come in and just nuke your frame of mind and look at things from how your customers see them and how your employees see them and really want to know how to penetrate your local community better and do everything better, then yeah, give me a call. Another important thing, I'm pretty sure this is how other consultants do it. I require everything up front, just the way it is. One reason we charge the way we do, and well, I say at least one reason I charge the way I do is because I have to put everything else on hold. When I'm at your location, I'll take a phone call here or there, or maybe have to do a Zoom call, pretty rare, but possible. But for the most part, I'm focused on you. And when we have to put our whole lives on hold for a week, because that's really what it ends up, even 2 or 3 days, kind of nukes the whole week for the most part. Again, that's one reason for the charges. Most you're going to find are going to need everything up front, maybe half up front. I need everything up front. There's just too much stress to worry about the logistics and if someone's going to pay, and it's just not worth it to me. I don't really want to work with anybody who can't do that. And that's all I got for today. So a little bit of behind the scenes, what it's like to work with a consultant. Hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.